you stupid internet! I need my daily dose of ponies, otherwise I go insane! Why are you still downloading? Why is it taking so long to download a simple video? Move it, damn it! Did you just freeze on me? How dare you freezing on me? Internet!
So, how are we going to...
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen?
Shut up.
There are several reasons to love a show like Dan vs. One of them could be its ideal role as a poignant, self-bashing and sadly accurate portrayal of our generation. We are forced to deal with strong psychological issues derived by our own inability to cope with the chaotic, ever-changing nature of our contemporaneity. We get alienated and frustrated by a society we don't recognize ourselves to be part of, and, as a result, many of us turn into mongrels of pure irrational hatred and paranoia, thus reverting back into the metaphorical and literal cocoon of our living environment to grief in sociopathic rage. That's the character of Dan, our surprisingly relatable protagonist, in a nutshell. A bundle of unwieldy loath towards the entire world and always out to get revenge over something, with hilarious repercussions. The show's formula is rock solid in its premise. Every episode begins with Dan getting mad towards some random object, person or institution, and yelling their name out in glorious Captain Kirk fashion.
Technology! Traffic! Wild West Town!
Sparta! Yes, I know that's not Captain Kirk. Shut up! He's on my revenge list!
The remaining 20 minutes or so follow the exploits of our hero as he goes all out to exact his revenge, always involving his best friend / financial resource, Chris, and occasionally his wife, Elise. While extremely formulaic in nature, the largely malleable premise of just getting retribution on stuff that pisses Dan off allows the writers to go completely nuts with ideas and creativity. Much like Pinky and the Brain, the resolution of an established weekly conflict often comes off as a bold experimentation in the art of clever comedy.
New Mexico, consider yourself fired.
If, on one side, Dan vs. is pretty much a satirical apologue on our generation's delusions and anger issues, on the other side, it is also a playground for the ultimate angry geek wish fulfillment fantasy. Most of Dan's inevitable conspiracy theories turn out to be completely true. His dentist really was a supervillain planning to give painful cavities to the world, his barber is part of a secret barber's cult, and New Mexico is a land of evil roadrunners and ritualistic sacrifices to giant balloon gods. Just go with it. This balance between self-loathing and justified wrath, between acknowledging that the pain of the main character is mostly self-inflicted and throwing into the mix clever ounces of social satire, makes this venomous, mean-spirited comedy a true work of genius in its simplicity.
Sister, I am cutting off parenting at its source. Can I get a Dan's great? Woo-hoo!
Co-creator Dan Mandel and Chris Pearson based the two main characters, Dan and Chris that is, off themselves. According to Mandel, his own vision of Dan was also influenced by Calvin, from Bill Watterson's Calvin and Hobbes. If he was a much better adult, that is.
I'm lactose intolerant. You put cheese on my burger, I will die. But not before I burn this place to the ground!
I do believe, however, that Dan Versus can be better compared with Brain O'Malley's Scott Pilgrim, which was already a clever allegory for my generation's insecurities and lack of direction in its own right. In fact, it wouldn't be completely erroneous to refer as Dan as an angrier, more bitter version of Scott Pilgrim, with the only major difference being that he never learns anything from his experiences. I find it especially fitting that such a liberating black comedy with no moral whatsoever is broadcast in the same channel as My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, a show that's all about tolerance and the appreciation of the friends you have.
Hi, it's Chris. Leave a message. How dare you let your machine pick up?
You are scum! You're worthless, spineless, rotten to the core! That's it! We are no longer friends! I hate you! We are done! If you ever try to speak to me again, I will literally strangle you! Come over when you get this. It's Dan.
Speaking of which, Dan is probably the worst friend ever to Chris, and while the latter is sort of a pushover, that still doesn't explain why the two of them are still buddies, or even why he helps him out in Dan's crazy plots at his own financial and often physical expenses, especially after the infamous animal shelter episode.
Finally. Do you want to tag along on my revenge? Yes, I do. Do you want to pay for everything with your credit cards? I don't know. Oh, come on, we'll have a blast. Well, all right. Can I get a milkshake later? Of course you can, buddy.
As a result, his involvement feels a bit forced occasionally, not any less funny though. Also, his wife, and this needs to be said, Alice, just happens to be a secret agent / ninja who causes uprisings in third world countries and disarms nuclear weapons in her spare time. That often comes to play during the most improbable of situations.
Hey, if you're gonna probe anyone, probe Chris! Keep your filthy tentacles off my... Oh, hi, Elise.
As of now, we've seen many epic battles for the ages, like Dan vs. New Mexico, or Dan vs. the Ninja, or even the memorable Dan vs. Chris. A much anticipated confrontation, by the way. But we all know what's the real ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny we're all waiting to see.
My car! Bedazzled! Pinkie Pie!
You're welcome.
In conclusion, Dan Versus is a brilliant, flash-animated black comedy that really speaks to the little angry troll that lives inside us all. So go watch it right now, otherwise you'll end up in my revenge list! Right after M. Night Shyamalan, All Known Religions, and people who confuse baby Looney Tunes with Tiny Toons. Man, I hate everything!
Over the course of a parent's life, their child will cost them more than $1 million! Money that could be spent on a yacht! A car made out of gold! Even one of those apes that knows sign language!